Probably have a meeting.
All right, good morning. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the New York Empowerment Zone Corporation for today, Thursday, May 23rd, 2019. My name is Holly Light, and I will serve as the chair for this meeting representing Howard Zemsky and New York State. All meetings of the New York Empowerment Zone Corporation directors are public, and members of the public are welcome to ask questions after each presentation. Those questions should be focused on the matters raised by the presentation. 2 minutes are allotted for comments from individuals and up to 4 for individuals representing organizations. Following question-answer period, a motion will be made and a vote will be cast. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I'd like to take a moment to ask the directors if anyone has a potential conflict of interest with respect to any item on today's agenda. If so, please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. Okay. Hearing nothing, we will move along. Staff from the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone will now present items proposed by their office. Blair Smith, please present your first item.
Do we approve the minutes or not?
No,
No?
ESD needs to be here.
Oh, to do that, okay.
And welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Blair Smith, and I am the Chief Investment Officer for the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone Development Corporation. Regarding the Empowerment Pre-Development Loan Fund, the total cost of the project is $5,250,000, funded entirely by UMEZ. This is expected to be a 2-year initiative, contributing to the local investment base, creating and retaining both short-term and permanent jobs, and promoting the overall economic vitality of the Upper Manhattan community. UMEZ commissioned an independent consultant to define and understand the unmet needs of emerging real estate developers in Upper Manhattan. The Pre-Development Loan Fund would address capital gaps that serve as a barrier to strengthen emerging developers in the Upper Manhattan community, and particularly those that are led by local MWBE developers. Projects have to be located in the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone, and qualified borrowers will have to be led or co-led developers of eligible local real estate projects. Pursuant to an RFP, UMEZ will identify and partner with a third-party service provider to advise UMEZ's staff to underwrite and manage pre-development loans pending NYEZ approval. In order to implement the modified approval process, UMEZ proposes that NYEZC staff review the proposal within 20 business days of receipt from UMEZ. However, absent any written disapproval from NYEZC staff within 20 business days, including any inaction, the proposal would be deemed approved, and UMEZ would be authorized to proceed with funding. The purpose of this request is to create an approval process that is necessary to implement a viable pre-development loan program. UMEZ will submit a summary of each approved pre-development loan, including the project location, type of real estate project, name of developer, loan amount, and approval date at each meeting of the UMEZ Board of Directors. And finally, in order to successfully implement the Pre-Development Loan Fund, the following action steps are required. The UMEZ Board will delegate authority to the EPD Committee to approve pre-development loan funds that do not exceed $500,000. UMEZ has requested modification of the NYEZ review process, and a summary of each approved pre-development loan would be submitted at each meeting of the UMEZ Board of Directors. The UMEZ staff will happily respond to any questions you may have.
Questions?
Just how, I know it's up to 250, how long do you anticipate the loan fund will exist, since it's a loan and people will be paying back? Is this for secula seculorum?
So we think that each loan individually will be probably somewhere in the 24-month term, and those will be repaid once the construction project begins.
Just
And
a
it's
bridge
funded.
loan.
It's a bridge loan.
Right.
Then what would happen is it really becomes a revolving loan fund
Okay.
in and of itself.
Okay.
So we would see that this could perpetuate itself for several years.
So when you refer to the 2-year time frame, it'll revolve longer than those 2 years. You just figure you'll give the initial grants in 2 years?
We
or-
think that the loans themselves
Will
will
be
take
2
us
years.
2 years to go through that initial 5.
Got it.
And
Got
then
it.
it will
And then they'll
revolve.
come back and start. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Do you have a sense of what a typical loan might be from the research you did looking at
Say that again, I'm sorry.
a typical, like how much do you think a typical
So-
loan might be?
We think that we're planning to advance somewhere in about 70% of pre-development cost. So that could be up to $500,000. We think that on average, they'll be in that neighborhood, I mean, in terms of the size of the loan.
And residentially and commercial?
Yes, we believe that we're talking, yes, both residential, commercial, could be mixed use, community facility, a variety.
Pretty open to-
Right. But if it is residential, there has to be a substantial affordability component
Okay.
with it. We're not doing any market, not going to do 80-20, financing.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay. I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you
you all.
very much, Claire.
Thank you.
The next item will be presented by Verderi Roosevelt on the UMES Arts Engagement Grant Program.
Good morning. We are bringing you 2 proposed cultural investment grants for your consideration. Both would be funded entirely from UMES loan repayments. Behind tab 3 is a proposal to recapitalize the UMES Arts Engagement Re-Grant Program for calendar years 20 and 21. The total project cost is $1,089,900, of which UMES would fund up to $885,000. This program was a new initiative in UMES's updated cultural investment strategy in 2017. It was specifically designed to reach small organizations and artists who did not qualify for our major categories of support. The re-grant amounts range in size from $1,000 to $10,000. The goal was and remains to enhance the diversity and frequency of cultural activity in Upper Manhattan by providing flexible support for artists and groups to create their art and develop audiences for their work. The results have been encouraging. The pilot program initiative for 2018 and 19 generated 89 grants and an estimated audience of 113,000 people. This proposal would essentially continue the policies, structure, and operations that have been established for UMES Arts Engagement Grants and extend our engagement with Lower Manhattan Cultural Council as administrator of the program. Based on our analysis of the pilot initiative, we would implement several modest adjustments that will strengthen the program for 2020 and 2021. Those modifications are on page 4 of the memorandum. They will take specific steps to improve outreach efforts, provide and promote a dedicated Spanish language session, confirm a minimum of 5 panelists for each jury, and ensure that jurors give weight to applicants with a history of service to Upper Manhattan. We are maintaining the requirement that grantees who receive 3 consecutive years of support take a year off before reapplying. To ensure that these grants were scaled appropriately to the field as well as to the overall investment of UMES funds, we have modified the amount to be awarded each year, which will be capped at $375,000, totaling $750,000 over 2 years. This is an increase of $100,000 in the total re-grant funds over the pilot grant, but a slight reduction in the annual award amount, which was $400,000 in 2019. The cost to administrate the 34-month program has been reduced from 25% to 18%, or $135,000. UMES would continue to exercise control over critical elements of the grant process, including approval of guidelines and criteria, eligibility for jury panels, and a final approval of the awards. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great.
How, for the 2017, how many grants altogether, remind me, how many grants were given to artists?
It was 89 total. There were 51 applicants and 36 grantees in 2018, and 74 eligible applicants and 53 grants in 2019. So a total of 89
And
grantees.
what's typically a rejection?
There are groups that aren't eligible, although LMCC works with all the applicants to help them. Some of them simply can't get the paperwork together. Some of them are applying for an educational that's purely educational. We don't fund that. And it's by far the large majority actually get funded. Those that don't have a weak plans for implementation. It seems to be all guesswork or supposition. But it's remarkable how many have come in ready to do their work. We're very pleased.
So people can only apply for 3 consecutive years. If in fact most people get approved, any reason why it's 3 years? If someone is doing good work, why not a 4th year?
Only 17 have gotten grants in both years. And they're the larger organizations that you would expect. You know, they have the wherewithal to do this on an annual basis. But many of these artists come in because this is their project and it's happening in that year. And so we had a large number not return in the second year because they'd gotten it. But we want to make sure there's always room for the new voices that arrive, and we're not consistently doing the same group over and over. So we make that a rule.
What was the median grant amount?
Same grant amounts, 1,000 to 10,000.
Well, no, the median level was about 7,500.
Right,
Median
okay.
grant
Yeah.
level, and it ranges between $1,000 and $10,000.
Okay. And were you able to track to see how that money was spent, or was it just given to any project and they were
No,
able to?
we have complete financial reports so that we know, for example, that the amount that they raised to do the projects over our amount was considerably larger. I do have that somewhere. They actually raised $341,000 plus from other sources, and that doesn't count the contributed services, since community spaces donate the use of their space to do a theater show or an exhibition. It's been very much a collaborative effort.
And part of the reason we partnered with the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council is because they collect a lot of data, and they can provide, they have a system, they administer state grants, they administer other city grants. And so it's through their ability to collect the information that we're able to gather.
And did that information reveal like what this need was that this particular money was covering?
Yes.
So it was
The artistic salaries were the most funded, then supporting staff, and then space rental.
okay.
So,
One of the things, we talked a little bit about this last time with respect to the marketing program, but, and I know Blair, you and Destiny talked about doing this, starting to do some presentations at the beginning of each meeting on your programs, like this program, like the marketing program, just to understand. We started doing that last year for the ESD board meetings at the beginning of every meeting. Some division kind of presents on its work and what it's doing, and I think just having some visuals, seeing some of the grantees, it just helps bring it to life to understand how the programs work, you know, more than just the numbers. So I look forward to starting that.
Happy to do that. Yeah.
sure. So,
I think it'll-
as I mentioned to Destiny, for the next fiscal year, we can start doing that.
And is the list of recipients in the materials, of the 89 grants, were they, I'd be curious to see who the recipients
They're
were.
not in these materials, but they're on our website.
Okay.
And we can certainly send them.
Okay, yeah, I'd be curious. Make sure I know who they are.
Happy to.
And of the 89 funded, how many were organizations and how many were individual artists?
I'm not sure I have that breakdown in front of me. No, I don't, but I can get that for you. It was a healthy mix.
I know you said, I think, 17 organizations.
17 have now
Refunded.
gotten grants in 2 years. And a couple of those were individual artists, actually. They weren't all organizations.
Any other questions? Any questions from the public? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion for
So
approval.
move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Behind tab 4, this is a proposal for a 3-year capacity grant to the Hip Hop Theater Festival, more commonly known as High Arts. The total project cost is $500,000, of which UMES would fund up to $250,000. High Arts is a new applicant to UMES. It was established in 2000 as an annual hip-hop theater festival, but has since broadened its programming to produce and present works by artists rooted in the hip-hop aesthetic who are addressing contemporary issues of equity and social justice. Other programs include artist residencies, exhibitions, co-productions with Upper Manhattan cultural organizations, community engagement programs, and arts education, both in school and after school. The organization moved to East Harlem in 2009 and became an anchor tenant at El Barrio's Art Space, PS 109, in 2015. The move was accompanied by a change in leadership and the adoption of a strategic plan to stabilize operations, strengthen the programming, and identify targeted goals for growth. The plan positions High Arts as an educational and artistic resource for the East Harlem community, a New York City laboratory for cultural and community-engaged work in the urban aesthetic, and ultimately a national center for hip-hop arts and urban culture. This request addresses a key element of their strategic plan, the need to diversify High Arts' earned and contributed income. Goals are to strengthen the board, cultivate new donors, particularly individuals and foundations, attract new audiences, and build the marketplace for their programming. UMES funds would support a full-time development director, a part-time marketing associate, a development consultant, and the upgrade of development and marketing materials and improvements to the website. I'm happy to answer questions.
Is PS 109 its permanent home, or is...
Yeah, they are one of the anchor tenants there, and that is the business model for PS 109, to have those people solidified. And there are workspaces, there's a small stage, there are plenty of office space. It's a good platform for them.
That's right.
And the building itself, is a little mini cultural community within the East Harlem
That was
area.
my project back in the day.
Yeah, you know it well.
Right.
It's great. Yeah, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that space. I love art space. They're a good group. So one question about this grant. If this grant is helping them hire staff, what's the sort of ongoing plan to ensure that those staff can
Our goal
retain?
with all of our capacity grants is that they are able to continue that staff after the UMES
They have
money
to then
goes away.
fundraise?
So with the
for the
increased
future.
money that they have and the fact that we decrease our support over the 3 years, step it down so it isn't a cliff at the end of the grant.
And these positions are development and marketing geared directly to that.
raise their own salaries. Right.
The incentives are aligned.
Yeah, exactly.
But that said, are they able to renew other grants with us?
Yeah, they have a very good reputation in the foundation community, particularly. There's these odd that they haven't built out individual income. They've got corporate, targets that they've never gone after. So having a full-time development person is going to make a world of difference in those efforts.
That's great. Any other questions? Any questions from the public? Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Now Ghaffar Mohammed will present the next item on the agenda, the UMES administrative budget for fiscal year 2020.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
And did you just say your fiscal year is
2020.
July 1st through June 30th.
My name is Ghaffar Mohammed, and I'm the Chief Financial Officer of the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone Development Corporation. Our budget is on the tab 5 of your books, if you... I'm here to ask you to consider and approve our administrative budget for fiscal year 2020 in the amount of $3,895,757. This is a combined budget for UMES and BRISC, and the details are behind the first page of your tab 5. This budget is for the fiscal year 2020, that is July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. And it's completely funded from loan repayment monies. But first, comparing our fiscal year 2019 budget with the fiscal year 2019 projected expenses. And if you look at those two columns, you will notice on line 37, the projected expenditure is lower than the budgeted amount by $517,542. And that's about 13% less than the budgeted amount. The reason for that, we have some significant variances. If you were to look at line 4, total personnel services is projected to be lower than the budget by $622,752, or 21% lower than the budget. And this is mainly because we had some staff vacancies during the year, and we are making attempts to fill those vacancies. Next, if you were to look at line 28, our temporary staff and other consulting services for FY 2019 is projected to be higher than the budget by about $191,900. And that's really because of those staff vacancies that we had, where we experienced a savings in the personnel services of over $600,000. On line 26, you'll notice our legal expenses projected to be lower than the budget by $55,457, or 49% less than the budget. And that's because our borrowers are current with their payments, so there is less need for legal collection action. Line 29, our liability insurance is expected to be less than the budget by $6,231, and that's because UMES has not experienced any losses nor filed any claims over the past several years. Those were the main variances on 2019 budget and actual expenses. Moving over to FY 2020 budget, please note that our overall budget on line 38 at the bottom is $14,878 less than the budgeted amount. We're asking for less money than you approved last year. And this decrease is mainly because of two items. Line 4, the total personnel services cost is budgeted at $2,839,508, and that's a decrease of $105,778 less than last year. The main reason is that UMES has eliminated one staff position and reduced another by 50%. On line 28, our temporary staff and other consulting services for 2020 is budgeted to be higher than last year's by $95,000. UMES has 4 positions in its business investment department. One of those 4 positions was filled earlier this month by our chief investment officer. You met him earlier. And another position will be filled next week. We are making efforts to continue searching to fill the other 2 positions. And in the meantime, we may need some help from consultants to assist us in our work. And that's why we're asking for that extra $95,000 this year. The other expenses are in line with the prior year budget. So at this point, I will pause to ask if there are questions.
Questions? Thank you for that thorough walkthrough. I appreciate that.
So then we ask that you please approve our budget.
And congrats on paying the whole budget.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Any questions from the public? All right. Can I get a motion to approve the budget?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. I think we have finished the corporate actions. The final agenda item today is for information only. UMES will present funds to be de-designated from the workforce development projects so that they will be available for new workforce projects.
Yeah,
Michelle?
Sean, yeah.
Yes.
So good morning, directors and staff. My name is Yashanya Hill. I am the Vice President of Workforce Opportunity Investments at UMES. And this morning, I'll just be presenting to you our request to de-designate workforce development funds. UMES recommends de-designation of unused funds from several previously approved human capital and workforce development initiatives. This process is being undertaken to support the reconciliation of funds and to confirm investment capital available for deployment to workforce opportunity investment funds. The aggregate amount of the de-designation recommendation is $631,414. These de-designation recommendations represent projects that were never implemented or projects that were completed, wherein the awardee did not expend the total amount of the awarded funds, either by fulfilling the contract performance requirements without requiring the use of the full amount awarded, or by failing to complete full performance requirements, resulting in the issuance of grant payments based on the actual level of performance achieved. The grant payment structure for Workforce Opportunity Investment Fund projects are performance-based. As such, grant fund disbursements are issued based on the rate of performance actually achieved and also based on program milestones. I am happy to address any questions that you may have on the de-designation of UMES workforce funds.
So I heard you say that it was the money either wasn't used by the organization or based off of performance and compliance, they did not receive the additional funding. Is
Right.
that correct? Okay, so there would be 2 factors in
Right.
terms of why they wouldn't. And are we like tracking this information in terms of how that funding might be used with these organizations in the future, or is there assistance for them in terms of like what problems or obstacles they might have run into preventing?
So most of these funds were issued, I would say, from 1999 to 2003. And the focus at that time was really on traditional workforce development. So it's really resume writing and workshop preparation. However, we have adopted a demand-driven workforce development strategy where it is job-driven. We're actually looking at not just training, but jobs that are directly linked to the training. So we're kind of doing it in the reverse, where we're looking at the needs of employers, understanding their demands, and then crafting training programs that actually fit that need. So we foresee currently and in the future workforce initiatives that will be really just focused in that main area where performance will not be an issue.
And many of these that were de-designated, they don't do that type of training, so going
Yeah.
forward, we
Right.
can
That
see
was
that
going to be
they will be
another
in the pool.
question. Okay, so we most likely won't be working with some of these organizations
Right.
again.
Some we may, but
Yeah.
under this refined
Right.
strategy.
Unless they, change their model or.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So are you working now more with the employers themselves?
So we are working still with nonprofit organizations, but they have to exhibit employer relationships. So up front, they have to say that they're actually working with key employers and working on training programs that are going to link
Directly
residents
to the
directly
jobs.
to those employment opportunities.
And are all the employers located in the empowerment zone?
All of the employers don't necessarily have to be located within the empowerment zone. However, the residents have to be empowerment zone residents.
We're happy to have residents work in other parts of the
Right.
city.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is so old that some go back 20 years.
Yes.
Yes.
So they probably don't even know they have money.
Right, and this is, so this is a cleanup
Yeah.
of
Right.
a lot of historical.
I was middle-aged when this happened.
That's funny.
Any other questions? Okay. Great.
Okay. Thank you for
very
your
much.
time.
Thank you.
Tanya.
Thank you.
Is there any other business that anyone wants to bring up? Okay. Do I have a motion to?
So move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you for running an efficient meeting.